Hi, my name is Janine Yeske, and I'm the 4-H educator for Jefferson County, Ohio. The Jefferson County program has about 550 kids. We have about 130 adult volunteers, and my job is to pretty much organize, provide education, provide events for the kids and the volunteers that are in the program. Some of the main jobs of the 4-H educator would include volunteer development. We do volunteer training every year. We keep our volunteers up to date with all the new 4-H policies that might come down from the state 4-H office. I provide leadership activities for teenagers ages 14 and up. We do that through a program we call Junior Leaders, and then through our Camp Counselor program. I provide leadership and work closely with our 4-H committee, which is made up of 16 adult volunteers who actually help me steer the 4-H program. They make a lot of financial decisions. They help me plan, organize events. They teach. So we work closely together. And that's pretty much a general overview of what I do as a 4-H educator in the county. The 4-H program is actually a part of, in Ohio, the Ohio State University. In West Virginia, it's part of WVU. The 4-H program throughout the nation is a part of land-grant universities. So one great thing about 4-H youth development is there's a 4-H program in every state. Some states look different. Some states have county offices. Some states have regional offices. But there is 4-H throughout the country. So one great thing that we've had happen here just this year was we had a family that joined 4-H, and then the little girl had to move to Florida with a split family situation, and we actually hooked her up with the 4-H program where she was moving in Florida. So she got to move, and still she kind of knew somebody there. She already had a connection with a 4-H club. My education background is I received my bachelor's degree from the Franciscan University of Steubenville. I've lived in Wintersville all my life, so it's a local university for me. I then was a daycare director for about 5 years. I taught preschool for a few years, and then I got the job as the preliminary service coordinator for, back then it was called early intervention, but today it's called birth to 3, 0 to 3. So I actually was the person who met families who had babies or young children with developmental disabilities or delays, and then I made sure they got their services coordinated. So I either worked with therapists and specialists, or I just referred the kids to them, and then those specialists took over the coordination for those particular kids. About 1989, I learned about a job here at the Extension Office. It was called the Family Nutrition Program, which I really liked working with families and nutrition, and I just saw a lot of families that kind of needed help in that area. So when this opportunity came up, I applied for the job as the Family Nutrition Program Assistant, got that job, worked in that position for about 3 years. And it was actually during those 3 years that I started to observe the 4-H program, got to know the 4-H program, and to be honest with you, fell in love with the 4-H program, knew that's what I wanted to do. The timing couldn't have been better. I went to Ohio State as I worked, went to Ohio State for 2 years, got my master's degree in extension education, and the month that I was completing my degree, we found out that the 4-H educator was resigning his position and going somewhere else for a job. So my graduation and his timing were perfect. I applied for the job, got the job, and I've been doing this job for 15 years. To be an extension educator, you do have to have a master's degree. If it's a 4-H educator, a lot of degrees are accepted, but my recommendation is education, social work, ag would be a great help, agriculture, some kind of background in that. Those would all be degrees that would be very helpful in the position. The 4-H development program really does focus on leadership, not only adult leadership, but teen leadership. And I think that to talk about what is required as leadership qualities, you really just need to be a people person. And the one thing that I've learned through this job in 15 years is that your skills need to be different every day. Every day you're facing new experiences, new situations, new problems. So I guess flexibility would be one of the things that I would say a good leader needs. I think a good leader also needs to be able to kind of see into the future, see what's coming down the road, see what's going to impact the program, see how we need to adjust things to meet those different changes that are coming in the program. I think a good leader needs to make sure that they have a great team. And a saying that I like is that a leader needs to not only have all the right people on the bus, but they need to have them in the right seat. And a good leader will do that. They'll make sure that their team is in there making decisions. Nobody can be an expert in every topic or every field that they have to manage. And so a good leader will make sure they have people in place who know the subject areas. So in 4-H, for example, if a horse question comes to me, I have horse key leaders. I send those questions straight out to those key leaders. I don't attempt to answer every question because I naturally don't know everything about every 4-H project. So I think leadership is really important. It depends on the day, what leadership skills you need, but I think working with people, being flexible, having a sense of humor, being able to kind of roll with the punches, I think is really a people skill that you need. I really think 4-H does a great job at passing those skills on to kids, especially our teenagers who are involved in our counselor training program. Counselors have to be involved in 24 hours of leadership training. We do all kind of team builders, we do fun games, we put them in small groups, big groups. They work with all different people. Then they actually go to camp and work with little kids. So I think through 4-H, teens really do get hands-on experiences in a leadership position. When I came to the 4-H program from the Community Action Agency where I worked as the Early Intervention Coordinator, one of the first things I realized was that there's such a wealth of information in 4-H. 4-H projects are in about 200 different areas, have a couple hundred different project books that kids can choose from. And what I realized was a lot of those families that I used to home visit, those kids don't have those kind of resources available to them, and yet 4-H has all those resources available. So that's one of the things I've worked on, is making sure there are 4-H clubs in Steubenville. So kids who traditionally don't know about the program and who might not be in the program do get access to the program and can join clubs, and so they can take those projects. Another thing that we've done here in Jefferson County is we started a 4-H club that's in conjunction with the Urban Mission in downtown Steubenville, which is traditionally thought of as a place where people can go who may be low income, but they can go pick up groceries, or they have a toy distribution coming up for the holidays. And so one of the things we've done down there is to work to put a 4-H club together down there. There's 4-H experiences, projects, and events for everybody. Kids can take projects in just about any area that they're interested in, and if there's not a project book for it, we even have what we call self-determined projects, so kids can come up with their own project. If you play violin, we can help you come up with a project and have some milestones that you meet, some goals, so that when you're done with the project, you have accomplished something and you're better than you were in the beginning. 4-H uses the experiential learning process, so the kids experience what it is that they're going to learn about. They learn a little bit about it. They have an introduction to the project. Then they begin sharing what they've learned. Kids do 4-H demonstrations in their clubs based on their projects. So if you're taking a cooking project like this one, you would actually stand up and teach the kids in your club how to measure or how to do some activity from your book. Then the kids learn to process, and by that we mean they start to generalize. So whatever they're learning through this project book, they can take it home. They can apply it to something else, so that they're actually using the skills from the project book in their real lives. And then, like I just said, they do apply that to their real lives. So we look at a 5-step process. They experience, they share, they process, They generalize it, and then they apply it to their everyday lives. Choosing my favorite part of the 4-H job was not difficult at all for me. My very favorite part is working with teenagers, ages 14 to 18 or 19 when they actually age out of 4-H. I think that in today's world we see a lot in the newspaper about things that teens are doing wrong, and in my job I get to see what teens are doing right. They have goals, they have objectives for their lives, most of them go on to college. I just get to work with a great group of teenagers, and it's easily my favorite part of the job. It's what I will miss when I retire someday. And I think it's really an important part of the 4-H program. In fact, one time I went to a meeting and they asked what did we think was the most important thing that 4-H does. And we couldn't see each other's answers. And out of a group of about 20 people, probably 12 to 15 of us chose teen leadership development as the most important thing of the program. So that's my favorite part. Thank you.